My first boss made me cry every single shift until I destroyed his entire career. I was 15 years old. First job ever. This greasy little diner on the edge of town that smelled like burnt coffee, stale grease, and diesel fuel from the truck stop next door. The kind of place where the vinyl booths were cracked and patched with duct tape, where the fluorescent lights buzzed constantly, and where the regulars knew your name before you learned theirs. Our cook was this guy in his 50s named Dale. Tall, weathered face, permanent scowl etched into his features like it had been carved there. And Dale thought breaking teenagers was a competitive sport. He'd yell across the kitchen, his voice cutting through the sizzle of the grill and the clatter of dishes. Call me princess in this mocking, sing-song tone that made my skin crawl. Make bets with the dishwasher about how fast he could make me tear up. I heard them laughing about it once during my break, counting down the minutes like it was some kind of game show. Every single mistake I made, he'd announce it to the whole restaurant. Dropped a fork, he'd slow clap, making sure every customer turned to look at me. Forgot extra mayo on someone's burger, he'd project his voice across the diner and say another genius move from Harvard over here. My face would burn red every time. My hands would shake, and sure enough, the tears would come. The manager knew. Everyone knew. The other waitresses would give me these sympathetic looks, but never said anything. The regulars would sometimes whisper, "Don't let him get to you, honey," but that was it. Dale had been there 12 years, and nobody wanted the drama of confronting him. He was reliable, showed up on time, and the owner lived 3 states away and didn't care about anything except the bottom line. So I just took it, day after miserable day. I'd go home with my uniform smelling like fryer oil, my eyes puffy from crying, and I'd tell my parents I was fine, just tired, just adjusting. Until the day I slipped on a wet floor near the drink station and dropped an entire tray of plates. The crash echoed through the whole diner. Glass and ceramic everywhere. My knee hit the tile hard, and I felt something twist in my wrist as I tried to catch myself. Dale didn't help me up. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just stood there in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, laughing, actually laughing. And then he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Grace isn't her strong suit either." I went home that night, covered in bruises, my wrist throbbing, my knees swollen, and I was done being the joke. So I started watching him, really watching him, taking mental notes of everything he did. Turns out Dale cut corners everywhere. He never wore gloves when handling food. Used the same cutting board for raw chicken and vegetables without washing it between uses. Served expired food from containers he'd relabeled with new dates to save money. Let food sit out at room temperature for hours. The violations piled up once I started paying attention. I started taking detailed notes on my phone. Timestamps, dates, specific incidents. I took photos when he wasn't looking, pretending to check messages while angling my camera toward his violations. Then one night after my shift, I sat down on my computer and typed up a full report. Every violation, every health code he broke, every corner he cut. I printed 2 copies on clean white paper. One went to the county health department in an envelope with no return address. The other I left on my manager's desk in a plain manila envelope before my shift started one morning. 3 days later, I showed up for my shift and Dale was standing in the parking lot. Face bright red, almost purple, arms crossed tight against his chest, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. A health inspector was inside with a clipboard and a camera, pointing at the fridge, the prep station, the cutting boards, taking samples and writing furiously. My manager stood nearby, looking pale and sick. Dale never came back inside. The manager fired him on the spot in the parking lot. I watched through the window as Dale shouted, gesturing wildly, but the manager just shook his head and walked away. The whole diner felt different after that. Lighter, quieter, like we could all finally breathe. 2 weeks later, we got a new cook. Older guy named Marcus. He wore gloves, said please and thank you, treated me like a human being with feelings and dignity. I don't think Dale ever figured out it was me. But if you're reading this and it sounds familiar, hey Dale, hope retirement's treating you well.